All right. Well, last night we had to cancel the show because the internet just wasn't working. And I don't know if it's working now. It seems to work for just about everything except for this. Go figure. And I'm a little concerned that I don't see anybody actually in, because usually there's people waiting. So I'm going to give it a minute. Jill and I were talking last night, and I said, what would it be like if the internet never worked again here? Because we've had, okay, there's somebody's in, okay. We've had stretches of time where we had no internet for months, and the guy that was supposed to fix it just couldn't do it. He just couldn't get it done. I finally wound up having a call to New York City and just raising holy hell before they got it done. But who knows? It may be the same deal because it just hasn't been working very good. Last night we had a big rainstorm, and that might have had something to do with it. I'm on a hotspot right now, so we'll see. Okay, there's 3. I don't know what that equates to in real time people, but let's give it a shot. Normally Wednesday night we do the call-in question and answer, and Jill is right here helping me. Jill has obligations on Thursday night, and it takes her up until 8 or 8:15 or so like that. And then she will probably be coming in to help me with this. I don't know, I didn't really get a chance to talk to her about it. We had a soccer game tonight, last one of the season, and I didn't really get a chance to speak to her before I left. But I'm pretty sure she'll come in and give us a hand on this. So if you could, get your questions ready. Please send them in all caps, and then maybe we can get going on some conversation. I want to give you a heads up on a couple of things. I'm a big listener, big fan of Bards FM, BARDS FM. The guy's name's Scott Kesterson, and he recently put out a 9-part series on taking back our counties, and I thought it was outstanding. I've gone through it twice, and I probably will listen to it again. A lot of good information out there. But he had another one that came out today, and I thought it was really very good. And okay, I don't know who that is. 123 EXT. Okay, well, good. I'm glad you're with us. Tell me who you are, so I'll know. But the one he put out today was really very good, I thought. It kind of puts things in perspective. I am a big student of the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights, especially. Okay, Sam Radowick. Okay. I didn't get that last one. Talk about what? Connection is good. Thanks, Lone Star. This particular show that he put out had to do with selling your cloak and buying a sword, right? And I know I've kind of struggled with who we are supposed to be as people. And anyway, I don't want to take his thunder away. So if you want to listen to that, go ahead. Bards FM. It was outstanding. And if you haven't seen it already, I put out a video today about our meeting that we're planning on having here on the 10th, and this is being coordinated with my state senator's office. And I just went to the Bill of Rights, the First Amendment, and it says that we have the right to assemble. We have a right to do quite a few things per the First Amendment. And there's limitations on what the government can do to us. But one of the rights that we have there is we have the right to assemble. And when you think about it, If you ran a prison camp, for instance, you would not want the prisoners assembling. You know, when lights go out, you do not want them talking. You know, when you have a whole bunch of prisoners that you're keeping, you keep them separated so they cannot communicate. They can't do any planning. They can't put together a plan, right? And that's pretty much what we've been living through is, you know, we're isolated with our families, which is good, but we are kept from our churches. We are kept from our taverns, right? And that's where people do a lot of talking. They really get together and they discuss things. And if you are a student of history at all, you would know that the Declaration of Independence got a lot of airtime. You know, the American Revolution did not start at the Concord Bridge. That's where the first shot was fired. That's when it went hot. But the revolution started long before that, when people started to talk. Okay, thanks. Is Mom coming in?
She's still on her phone.
All right. Let me see. I got a hot message here, so let me read this. I can't read that. It says something, I don't know. It's right in English. But the colonists talked about their independence from England long before the shot was heard around the world, you know, the Concord Bridge moment. And so I think that, you know, we're doing a lot of complaining right now, but like the governor of this state, I don't think anybody has any problem with the statement that she is a tyrant, right? Because she's a tyrant by default, right? She's one of these parasite little loser kids, you know, and she can't really relate to the working class of Michigan. And so she wants control of us. That's how she's going to feel like, oh, I'm doing my job. She wants control. And so she's locking the state down because she can, right? That's why she's doing it. And really irritating the public. I mean, that's pretty, putting it very lightly. And I shouldn't even say it like that she's irritating. She's destroyed 200,000 businesses in the state of Michigan. Now, you know, you think about it, oh, Tony's business got destroyed, so he just gets to sit home and do nothing. No, he doesn't even get to sit home because he loses his home, right? He had to back in with his folks. And then him and his wife start fighting a little bit. He starts drinking a little bit. He smacks her around. Before you know it, everything has fallen apart around Tony. And when Tony can get his hands on that little girl, very bad things could happen. So people have some very ill will towards the governor of this state because we are here, we can view what is happening. We all have access to the information about the China virus, and we all know now that the cat is out of the bag. At first we were on board with it, but now we know that the cat is out of the bag. So, you know, you can only make so many phone calls to your state rep. Not that they're worth a damn, but they don't do anything. You know, none of them have put forth any kind of legislation to stop this nut. Nobody has, as far as I know. So our governor is gonna, our state senator is gonna be here October 10th. Yeah, October 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I put a video out on that, and it's getting a lot of play because they might jump to conclusions and say, oh, are you planning a revolt? No, we're planning to assemble. We're planning to have a conversation about this. Well, is violent revolt on the horizon? I say everything's on the horizon. Everything's on the horizon. We're not going to just let you do this, you know? And your plan to make peasants out of us and make slaves out of us, you skipped one very important thing that you had to do, Whitmer. That's our governor's name. And she's not the only one. There's a bunch of them that are doing this, and they're beholding to, what is that? They're beholding to, New World Order types, George Soros types, and all those. I mean, you notice they don't even say that on mainstream media, but they're beholding to them. They really don't want our president to get reelected, and so they're just trying to create chaos. They're heavily invested in chaos, heavily invested in a body count, but there ain't a body count. I mean, they tried to do it with the nursing homes, but they didn't get that many people. They didn't get near as many as they reported. So people have complained, people have written letters, people have tried to do a recall, and all of it's thwarted. They just ignore it. So what do you expect people to do? Okay, we're going to start to assemble. We're going to assemble the citizens, and we're going to start having a conversation about this, right? And where is it going to go? How am I supposed to know? But we have to have the conversation. Out here in the working world, we have carpenters, we have janitors, we have engineers, we have doctors, we have professional golfers, we have butchers, we have pipe fitters, we have welders. We have a lot, and I mean a lot of talent. And the people that have that talent have a mindset. And it's not a mindset that should be toyed with. These are Americans, right? And if you've been around the world and you have especially been with the U.S. military, you find out really quick that there's a level of respect for Americans because Americans have an attitude of by hook or by crook. The American Revolution is well known throughout the world that the Americans did not put up with King George. They shot his men, lots of his men. The story of the Concord Bridge, April Morning. It's a book. If you'd like to read it, it's a very good book about that first skirmish. And that is the American spirit. That's the American spirit that's being toyed with right now. And I don't expect the governor to understand any of this. She is one of those people that I refer to a lot as a little parasite, right? She doesn't actually do anything, just runs for office, and then she's willing to, put people in a corner like this. So she gets moved around, and she got herself elected to governor. I think those days are coming to an end. I think people are going to start to elect leadership based on the integrity of the leadership, right? And hire somebody who's actually done something with their life, and maybe they can do something for the good of the state, for everybody. So anyway, it's all going to start with a conversation, and that's going to be on the 10th. Now, I don't know where it will go. I mean, maybe people are going to come here and say, hey, you know what, she's a great gal, Mark, and you really need to get in line and just put your freaking mask on. People may say that. I'm not really sure. I know when I talked to Kurt Vanderwall, he agreed with me that she's an impetulant little child, and he's tried to meet with her several times, and she's not up for it, and that's what he told me. And I said, well, maybe you'd like to meet with some of my friends. And he said, yeah, I think I would. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. I'm putting it out there. You can come here and you can talk one-on-one with a sitting state senator. I suspect what will happen, he'll have some messages for us. We will have some messages for him that he can take back to Lansing. And when the word goes out that, hey, these people are assembling, then what you have is leadership in Lansing that's going to say, uh-oh. Because when you get carpenters and janitors and engineers and welders and people like that together, very bad things could happen. They can devise lots of things. Lawyers, you can devise lots of things. And I'm not saying necessarily a violent overthrow, but it's not like it's not on the table. And if we did want to have that conversation, the governor has a small group of people at her disposal that she commands, right? That are in her chain of command. Small group of people, basically the state police. She does not command the Marshal Service. She does not command Homeland Security. She does not command sheriffs and sheriff's deputies. She certainly doesn't. So she's got the state police, and she's got a few bureaucrats, DNR, people like that are armed up. A lot of those people don't like her because their families are suffering under the same thing that, that they're under the same thing. And they get out and they see that this is unnecessary. Plus, state policemen, I don't really ask the DNR to do anything. They're kind of like, I don't know, they haven't been real good around here. Maybe they're changing that out, I don't know. I'd always give them a chance. But the state policemen, they take an oath, just like we do. They take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution as pertains to the citizen that they serve. They don't actually, I don't want to get into that because I'm not exactly sure whether their mission statement says they are there to serve the governor or to serve the people. But the governor is certainly there to serve the people. And we don't see that. We see a governor that is saying, to prevent you all from getting sick, we got to shut your businesses down and you can't go to church. Abortions? Yeah, no problem if you want that. That's the dividing line for me. Anybody that would go down that road has no empathy for an innocent life like that. I don't even see that as human, really. I don't know anymore. I just can't wrap my head around that. But the point I'm making is she really doesn't have the ability to project her will. Now, she could have, a squad of people that are loyal to her that are, have the authority, state police authority and stuff like that. And they could start picking people off one by one, right? They could do that. But that's the point of assembling. So we know what's happening. We need to know what's happening. Lone Star, thanks. Baker for governor, right? No, I got a better job. I would not. It's bad enough thinking about being the sheriff, but I could not imagine dealing with some of those dirtbags down there. I don't know. I don't know how you could do it. It would just be so frustrating to deal with those dirtbags. Just in that sea of parasites, just opportunistic parasites. I don't see how I could do it. But we'll see. I'm never going to say never. As I said before, when I took my oath, it was to protect and defend, and that was by any means necessary. So, don't get Michigan Live. M Live is like the Michigan's version of CNN. Anytime they interviewed me over the pig thing, they would always bring up, have you ever defended your property with firearms? And then they would weave that into the story and make it look like they would say I was prone to gun talk, right? You get a bunch of state policemen sitting around talking. They're going to talk about guns because they carry them. Bunch of military, bunch of hunters. They're always going to talk about guns. Sure, we talk about guns. Talk about guns on here. They make it seem as though if you talk about guns that you are some sort of nut. Well, I got, like a news flash for you. Per the First Amendment, I have the right to free speech, right? I have the right to assemble. I have the right to free press. I'm not in the press business. I guess this is. CNN are snowflakes. What do you mean snowflakes? Is that derogatory? But the Second Amendment comes right after the First Amendment, and it's very, very important. The rights of the citizens to own and bear arms shall not be infringed. And then you get into the militia part of it, and what you really want, for a healthy nation, what we want is we want federal troops, we want state troops, and then we want citizens troops. We want the militia. We want a balance of powers, right? And we're kind of lucky right now that we have the president that we have, and he is commanding the National Guard. And I don't like that because I think that should be they should be under the control of the state, of the governor. And you might be saying, well, what are you saying? If our governor had the National Guard, then she could use them against us. Well, yeah, but the Fed wouldn't like that. And if we had a strong citizens militia, a good one, like per what the Constitution says, every man shall maintain a weapon like that of the federal troops. 111.
11/11.
11/11.
I forget the significance of that.
Is that today? No.
No,
Oh,
there's a significance to it, so
all right. Well, but then you would have a balance of powers. And you do not want the federal to be more powerful than the citizens. You do not want that, because then there is an imbalance of power. Now, the federal government may maintain F-15s and B-52s and stuff like that. However, the citizens would have far more personnel under arms, and so there is a balance there, because there's different types of warfare. You're not going to use the governor. It's not going to use F-16s against the people. It just wouldn't happen. The problem with that would be that would be an open declaration of war against the citizens, which I don't think we're far away from that. If you are an elected official like a governor and you openly violate the constitutional rights of the people who elected you, they have the right to terminate your employment. We have the right to terminate her employment, because her contract with us was, I will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic, as pertains to the people who have elected me. That is her contract with us, and she has not honored that. No way has she honored that. So if she were hauled out of there by a group and arrested by a citizens group, she's got it coming. And you really don't know. There are people that do know. I mean, I don't. I'm not connected with state police, but there may be negotiations going on saying, hey, we're going to stand down if you guys are going to come in and terminate this leadership. I mean, that is on the table, and she doesn't know how loyal or disloyal her frontline troops are. The state police, those are like her troops. They're under her command, and there's not many of them in the state. I mean, and they're really spread out. And they're not trained to work as a group. They're trained to work as individuals, and they are not troops. They are police. Police are different than army. I mean, it's just totally different. So anyway, we'll see what happens, but I hope that we have this conversation, and several other people have this conversation too. But it all starts with just a conversation. All right. So I got Jill standing by. And I think, one of these days we just need to put her on and let her answer questions about people's health. Because I think we've established at this point the homesteading model, you are a facet of your homestead. You're a facet of it. So if your health is not good, then that needs to get straightened out. That really needs to get straightened out. And as the health of your property comes up, that your health should come up too. So okay. I got a question here. I got one question here.
Yeah,
Do you know who it's from?
Lone Star.
This is from Lone Star. Do I approve of the sheriff of my county?
We need thumbs ups too.
Yeah, we need thumbs up or I'm signing off. I want some thumbs ups. I don't really know what good they do, but they look good anyway. No thumbs downs. Bryce is here. Bryce is in the house. Do I approve of my county sheriff? Let's see, I was thinking about this today. I don't really want to do that job. That's not really my forte. I think I could do that job. I think I could do that job better than the last sheriff that we had. But the problem I had with the last sheriff that we had was when I approached him to run defense for me with the Department of Natural Resources, which he could have done, he says, "No, I'm not doing it." So I'm like, "What do you mean you're not going to do it?" And he says, "I don't want to get in a fight with them." Well, we elect you to do this. I mean, you're taking a paycheck to do this. And he was like, "Nah," he tried to talk me out of it. He was just not a very good guy. Friend of my wife's family, too. Not a very good guy. And then as I started to think that, well, I can do that job, I'll run against you, people were genuinely afraid of this guy. And I don't know, I did not approve of him. A consistent testimony about that man was he's only in that position to build his empire. I mean, he could do what he wants because he's the sheriff, and apparently, from some of the stories, he does what he wants, right? And he's worth a ton of money, from the looks of things. I mean, I haven't looked in it too close, but I know he bought my wife's grandfather's plane, and it was worth some serious coin. And the sheriff gets paid about 75 grand a year, which is not bad for this neck of the woods. But I mean, knocking down a retirement like he's knocking down. No, I did not approve of him. And that's why I ran against him. This guy, it was his undersheriff, and I have spoken with him, and he seems cordial, and he could be a good man. He could be. I mean, there's no bad talk about him around the county, and that stuff finds its way to me very quickly. And the times that I've dealt with him, he's been pretty cordial, sober guy. What I don't like is that he was appointed. So the spirit of the position was squashed, right? He was appointed by the last sheriff. And when you look into this and you talk a little bit about this and start to understand these positions, all right, when a governor is elected, we hire her, and her terms of employment is her oath of office, right? That's her terms of employment. She's swearing before God and country that this is what she will do for us. Well, our sheriff, the previous one, the one that I ran against, and he beat me, I guess. I don't know. We never did. Anyway, I'm not gonna. I didn't understand a lot back then. I really had a lot to learn. When he was sworn in, the terms of employment was a 4-year stint, and he swore that he would fulfill that. And then at 2 years, he says, "Well, I've had enough. I'm going to retire." And he says, "But I'm gonna appoint my buddy here, you know." And then they made this show out of it. They brought it before a group of people that they picked from the courthouse, that cadre, and they said, "Yeah, we approve. We approve." They got a bunch of thumbs up, and so okay, good enough. It never gave the people of the county the decency of another election, which would have cost a lot of money. And I say if he's gonna not fulfill his 4-year commitment, then he should just leave and take the pay that he's got coming. But I don't think he should get his retirement, out of that. I don't think he should have got a retirement anyway. That's a long story, but I don't see where the sheriff can appoint his successor. That takes the people out of it, right? Now maybe this guy that we have there now is a good guy. He might be, but he could also be running cover for the last guy that seems to have a ton of skeletons in his closet, from what everybody says. Even going back before I even knew him, I heard about him before I even lived here, right? Because he was the sheriff for 25 years. I heard wicked stories about him. So, do I approve of him as a man so far, the interaction that I've had with him? Yeah. Yeah, I don't see any reason why I should interrupt my life to run against him, because now the people of the county know that, hey, we're watching you. And I've heard people confront him at meetings, like, and ask for questions and demand answers. With the old sheriff, everybody was afraid of him. And I don't know why. It's probably because of the windy stories of, Dead Man's Swamp and all that stuff that I used to hear. But I don't approve of the way he was elected. Now, I have talked to him on the phone, and I said, maybe we should get together and have lunch. And he says, I'd like to. So it could be, he is a law enforcement officer out of the city. It could be he has had a moment where he says, you know what, these people are depending on me to do a job, and I need to do it. I want to have a clear conscience when I go to sleep at night. It could be. I don't know. But I am going to talk with him. The video that I made today, I said he was more than welcome to come, and if he was smart, he would, because we have a whole lot more support in this county than he does. And if he came and people got to know him and were able to see, who the guy is. See, counties, there's 83 counties in Michigan, and each one of them is, if it's handled correctly, sovereign in some respects. The county sheriff can say, well, I don't think we're going to do that. Like, we have this little thing in Michigan, it's pretty funny actually. The rights of the citizens to own and bear arms shall not be infringed, but if you want to carry it under your coat, you got to get the say-so from your sheriff. Well, I don't see that in the Second Amendment. So in my opinion on that, if you ever got picked up, let's say for something else, and you found you had a weapon on you, and they would probably tell you, hey, we're going to take your birthday away, but you could say, well, I think I want a trial, and I think your Second Amendment would dig you out of that, would keep you, would secure your weapon back to you and keep you a free man without a police record. I haven't hit the press the test on that button, but it just stands to reason. As the U.S. Constitution is written, you can't have some state saying, yeah, but. You can't. That's the essence of the U.S. Constitution being absolute, or better word is supreme, right? Supreme law of the land. But I haven't hit the press the test button on that one. It's just, I don't know. I haven't. And, you can't really get straight answers from lawyers most of the time. So I don't know. I just, and also judges, the judge is the one that's gonna, that's why you say I gotta have a jury of my peers. And I don't know, we'd have to see on that one. Okay, you got any more questions, Mom? Let's talk about farming.
First Church asked, could you talk about your or people you respect's pig breeding strategy moving into the next decade? What are you impressed with? What are you depressed with?
I'll tell you what I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with people who are going to do what they want to do, try out different methods, and see which one suits your homestead, right? That's what I'm impressed with. I am unimpressed with this mindset like, well, this is the way to do it, and it's the only way to do it. And anybody who doesn't do it the way we do it, they're jerks, and we hate them. And so don't talk to them. And that is kind of the mindset in the Mangalitsa world. Like, there's this one woman that's in it, you know, from some other country, and she's like the grand poobah, but she doesn't even have a farm. And I don't know, people just kind of run to her and say, well, is this right? And if she says no, then it's no, and you're no good. I don't like that, because look at what we could be missing. Look at some of the discoveries that you could make on your own, you know, that might work really good for you. I'll tell you what has worked good for us was, at first, I didn't have good ways of separating my boar out. And I had too much other stuff going on, so I would just leave them in there. And we wind up with the sounder unit. So we'll have a group of 5 sows with 1 boar. And occasionally we'll take him out of there and stick her in with the other group of sows. And that works for me. You know, it works for me. We're generating pigs all the time, and that's what we're here to do. I mean, some people would prefer to have a stricter discipline on it. I want them to farrow between this day and this day. To me, in the homestead business, it's not that important. If you're in the commercial business, you have to have your babies dropping, you know, every month of the year, so you're always going to have fed pigs for market. And I found that to be really frustrating and not something that I wanted to do. Right along there with, you know, parting animals out. I didn't like that, because restaurants always want a certain thing, and then you wind up with a bunch of something else that you're just housing. So I didn't like that model near as much as the homestead model. What do you think? On day? You got another one? Got another question?
Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, I think I kind of
Okay.
emptied
I'm
on
gonna
that one.
Go to Lone Star's question before I go back to Amber's.
Okay.
What kind of firearm do you recommend for a woman?
Depends on the woman, I guess. If the woman is enthusiastic about shooting, I would want her to have, if it's a pistol, I would want her to have, I don't like the 9mm, I never have. I was a 45 guy forever, and then they switched over to the 9. I didn't like it. I don't like a bullet that will go in and stop in a snowbank. I've never really liked that. Yeah, but you got more of them. No, that's not the idea of a pistol. A pistol is like especially for military people, you're carrying a rifle or a carbine, and then like sergeants carry sidearms. And so, like, if it's going to be your primary weapon, you know, on a day-to-day basis, and it's a pistol, I would say I would rather have a heavier caliber, like a 40. 45 is the best. I mean, it's a Godzilla stopper, right? And you get 7 rounds. I'm kind of a Colt snob because they're thin. I just like them. That's where I got started in the pistol world, and I've always just liked them. I think they're reliable, they're dependable, and you can get some more capable, more capacity magazines. My son's got one that I think holds 8 or 9, one in the chamber. So that's better than 6 in 1, right? The regular Colt 45 is just 6 in 1. So 6 in the magazine and 1 in the chamber. And a 45, a Colt, a 1911, you carry it with 1 in it and the hammer back and the safety on, locked and loaded. That's how you carry that. And I've done it for years. never had a mishap. It's designed to be carried like that. So when you pull it out, click, the safety goes off, and it's ready to go. So I would, you know, so if you're saying you want her to be carrying the best firearm, that would be it. The problem there is if you're not training with them, you know, several times a week, and you know, having to qualify on a yearly basis, and when you don't qualify, you're in trouble. You don't think about it. And a woman, well, I'll just use my wife. She's not thinking along those lines. And so if she ever did have to pull, you know, there was some, you know, she's in Falmouth and they stop cars and there's all these Antifa out there and she's going to get jerked out of that vehicle. I think the tendency could be that she might get a pistol like that out, and where's the safety? Or I don't like carrying it with a around in the chamber, so I'm going to have to cycle it through first. Okay, so I don't really like that. There's too many moving parts and there's too much muscle memory involved. So what's the answer there? She can shoot a 45, but it's kind of big. She can't really conceal it. So the answer that we went with for Jill was a 38, hammerless. So there's no hammer on the back. It's double action only, and it holds 5 rounds. It's small enough she can just put it right in her front pocket. And my kids are old enough now that some kid isn't going to grab it and then pull one through. That's the problem with a revolver, especially a double action revolver, because some kid can just get it and just pull one through like that. With a Colt automatic, 45 automatic, a 1911, there's a couple safeties. There's the hand safety on it. There is the thumb safety, and then you have to have it racked too. So there's a level of protection with children. The 38, it has to be in her possession, you know, so some kid can't get it. Glocks are okay. I would never have liked them. I just don't. I don't like the way they feel. I don't like 9mm. And the Glock 45 is pretty wide across the front, so I don't really like them, you know. So I don't really handle much else. I just stick with what I handle, and then Jill has a 38, so that's her thing. But I don't want you to think that that's the primary for her all the time. That is something that maybe down the road she would say, okay, I'm leaving the house and I'm going to leave armed. But we're not there, you know. And we live in the boonies, and she just does not arm when she leaves. Maybe I'm tipping my hand there, and that is not the primary that she's gonna, if something happened, let's say all of a sudden, you know, there was some convergence of bad guys on the farm, that would not be what she would be going for. So, you know, it's a pistol is like, it's a backup. It's definitely a backup. I don't, you know, I think you're better off carrying several more magazines than carrying a pistol, honestly. It always seems like a big pain in the butt to me to carry a pistol, so. How's that?
Sounds good. The next question was for me.
Okay.
Amber wanted to know home remedies for asthma.
Go for it.
And I'll just tell you what I know, because I've had a touch of it and I have family members that have it. And so this has been my experience with it. First thing that helped me, thanks, no way, is Raven oil. It really works to open up all of the whole respiratory system. It's a component of Young Living's Breathe Deep, I think is what it's called, and some of the other companies have knockoffs on Breathe Deep. I got straight Raven oil, and you breathe it in. You can use it just as like an aromatherapy. Massage it on, the back especially, the chest, along with eucalyptus, and I'd have to look up some of the other blend in there. But all of those just help open and relax that airway. When I got really desperate, my naturopath said put 1 drop of Raven, just 1 because it's super potent, in a glass of water and down that. That's pretty amazing. So oils, there's a lot of teas out there that support your lungs. Mullein is well known. There's another one, Seneca, that's really good for lungs. So having teas, and there's a lot of different teas out there that will just support you in between, so that hopefully they are stronger and you can avoid having an asthma attack. Get your sleep. I found that when I was stressed, I was more likely to have breathing issues, and that's true of my allergies as well. When you go to bed before 10 o'clock at night, that's sort of like a magic time. Your body will go into a detox mode. So, yeah, losing weight too. Losing weight reduces your stress. Your body can function better. But when your body can detox, it gets rid of all the junk, and it's not going to react in like a panicked sort of way to get rid of excess stuff, whether it's physical stuff, mental, emotional stuff. Between 10 and 2 at night, your body detoxes. So this is good for everybody, but especially if you have something like that that responds to stress a lot of times in one shape, way, or form. Allowing your body to detox by going to bed, the earlier the better, is crucial. Related to that is thinking about stress. What stresses you out? What makes you feel like you're being smothered? Just some questions to think about. And what can you do about those things then? Or how do you need to reconstruct your thinking? I know that that may not be considered a home remedy, but you're a whole person. And so what happens in your whole person affects every part of your person. So that's what I know about asthma. There's lots of reading you can do out there. I love homeopathic remedies. So I just Google homeopathic remedies for whatever it is I'm looking for. You look for the remedy that most closely matches your situation or your symptoms, and it'll be a broad spectrum of symptoms because, again, they treat you as a whole person, not just a body, not just a set of lungs. So when you look at what you need to do for it as home remedies, you have the opportunity to look at the whole person, look at your whole situation, and approach it from a number of angles. So you can do teas, you can do oils, think about stress management, go to bed early, get your rest, let your body detox and be stronger, and see what works. Yeah, grounding, bare feet on Mother Earth, fabulous stress relief right there. So I hope that helps, Amber. Marco? Oh, I'll start tackling this one. This one's from DeClercq Homestead.
DeClercq.
Yeah, they're coming in December.
Oh, cool.
I see you raise Freedom Rangers and Cornish Cross. Do we do some for ourselves, some to sell? Why? Keeping breeding stock. Thanks, Lone Star. We'll be seeing you in December too. That is going to be one of the funnest classes. Our classes in November and December are both stacked with awesome people that are going to be really fun to have here. So that'll be fun. So, Freedom Rangers Cornish Cross. We personally love the Freedom Rangers because they have more flavor, more red meat. They get more fat, so it's really hard to dry them out when you're cooking them. Plus, fat's flavor. So, when you have the extra fat, you have extra flavor. They go longer, but they also can convert the grass and bugs into meat better. They aren't as reliant on having to buy feed for them. We have fed them the bread that we feed to the pigs before, and they grew on it. Where the Cornish Cross, they didn't grow, and some of them deconditioned. They just couldn't hack it. They needed the high octane feed. So the Freedom Rangers are really fun on the homestead from that perspective, that they're just way more flexible, and you can range them like you do the hens, and they'll do marvelous. They'll do great and grow for you. Commercially speaking, the Cornish Cross convert faster and better with the feed. So as far as your dollars go, you can turn them over a little bit faster and more efficiently. Not as good quality. Our customers oftentimes don't want the fat. I have a few that we raise the Freedom Rangers for because they like the same things we like. So that's kind of fun. But a lot of them want the Cornish. That's what they're familiar with. That's what they know. If you have people that want boneless, skinless breast, the Cornish Cross is the way to go because the Freedom Rangers just don't get as big a breast on them. So it's kind of what you need for your customer base when you start raising them for customers. For yourself personally, I would go Freedom Rangers every time. But again, that's because we love the fat and we love the flavor, and we don't mind that they take a little longer because we can offset that feed cost with just, well, they like to fly the coop anyway. So they go and just run around on the field. We are experimenting with breeding stock. I've seen on different places where people have tried them with mixed success, not such great success. And we had only a Freedom Ranger rooster in with the hens. We didn't get as many fertilized eggs, so I don't think that he was doing his job that great. But we're gonna try it again. We've got one rooster in there. I forget his name now. He got named. He was hanging around as a mascot, and the boys didn't want to do him in. So he went in with the hens, and he's very happy there. And we've got a few Freedom Rangers that I don't think they're going to quite make weight tomorrow. And we might just throw them in there and let them lay eggs for the winter. They will lay eggs, so they might set them, especially if we put them in someplace where the other hens will set them, which our buffs are happy to do. So we're going to experiment with breeding stock and see how it goes. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll just eat them next spring. It all works out. So that's the Freedom Rangers and Cornish Cross. Unless you want to add anything.
No. All right. I'm back on Wi-Fi. Let's see if she holds for a little bit. All right, we are out of questions, so if you have some questions, you should send them in now. Now would be a good time to do that.
Maybe you could talk about your conversation, health and farm business. I guess you touched on it last night.
I did touch on it last night, but last night the connection was so bad that it was not doing very well, and I don't know if I got the point across. But I got a phone call yesterday from somebody, and she just instantly launched into how to do better business on their farmstead. And then as the conversation went, found out that the reason that the farmstead was even happening was because bufferings, her health was so bad. And they had to raise their own food because they just couldn't eat anything else from the store. And so it sounded like a leaky gut type scenario, and any kind of food that had any contamination was doing her in. But what I heard and what I thought, maybe I need to pass this on because she wouldn't be the only one, was her health was bad. and she was trying to figure out a way to make. Okay. Yeah, no joke. You want to talk about having, something that you're trying to communicate, and then all of a sudden the equipment fails. It gets old. It gets old quick. I was talking to Jill last night and said, "Well, what would it be like for us if all of a sudden that was the last show we could do? That the internet was going to be this way? Because they can tweak it if they want, and they can just make it so it doesn't work. I mean, we're out in the boonies and we rely on a tower and a receiver, and our internet has been out for mercy. And she's still there. She doesn't jump through the hoops for me, that's for sure. Maybe she's a Biden supporter. I don't know. But yeah, I would say along those lines, maybe some other people are suffering with this. You want to get the homestead going, and then you're going to get some good food going, and then you're going to take care of your health. I think that those things should, at the very minimum, both be getting worked and getting equal time and effort, because it does. Good health doesn't just happen anymore. If you are eating food from the store, and there's so much stuff out there that is really hard on the human body. Our bodies were supposed to be regenerative. They're supposed to do a whole lot better than they are in the environment that we're in. There's a lot of impurities, and then the food that we're getting is, and so our bodies have a hard time keeping up with the regeneration that they should be doing. So it will take a little bit of work, but there again, you can prioritize the things that you need to work on first. And that's where someone like Jill comes in, that spends a lot of time on this. Her program and my program are somewhat the same, because compilation of organisms, and each one of them has to be healthy, right? And you can't necessarily just bring the health of everybody up at the same time. It has to kind of, it's like climbing a mountain. You have to do it a little at a time. And, at some point you get up there and you look down and say, wow, I really brought this a long way. Well, human health is the same way. And if you have a really good, healthy constitution, you become more resilient. So, I mean, I know somebody that if she eats at a restaurant, it can lay her down for a week, if she gets the wrong stuff. Guy like this, Greg is like that too. Me, I can eat pizza and I will not sleep good that night. I will have heartburn, composting, and various other things, the other practices like that by stuff. I'm drawing a blank right now. We got it later at the end of summer. My grass just took off. I could have cut hay again. Okay. Feel like people didn't seem to really make a difference, really didn't. Okay,